4-4-2, 4-3-3, 3 at the back. If you've watched football for 5 minutes, you've heard the numbers, and nobody has ever actually told you what they mean. So here they are. All 8 formations football has genuinely used, in the order it invented them, from the first one in 1880 to the one your team played last weekend. What each shape was built to fix, what it gave up to fix it, and how much of it is still out there. And by the end, you'll see the thing nobody points out. Football spent 140 years walking away from its first formation and then walked straight back into it. Football's first formation was a pyramid, and it was drawn from the back. 2 defenders, 3 halfbacks, 5 forwards, 2-3-5. For about 40 years, it was the only agreed way to arrange 11 men. And 5 forwards made sense because of how the offside law worked then. You needed 3 opponents between you and the goal, not 2. Loitering on the shoulder of the last defender achieved nothing at all, so attacking meant advancing together, in numbers. And since everyone was doing the same thing, defending barely required bodies. The shape died, its numbering didn't. Read that pyramid left to right, front to back, and count. The right back is 2. The right half is 4. The center forward is 9. Every shirt number you have ever argued about comes from reading this drawing. The Scottish passing sides of the 1880s got here first, the first teams to treat football as a shape rather than a scrum. And if you think this one is safely dead, watch what a good possession team looks like when it actually has the ball. We'll come back to that. Verdict, 8 out of 10. The only obsolete formation on this list you can still watch on a Saturday. It died as a team sheet and came back as an attacking phase. In 1925, the offside law changed. 3 opponents became 2, and goals detonated. The pyramid's 2-man defense was suddenly indefensible, and the fix was the first formation ever designed as a reaction to something. Pull 1 halfback back into the defensive line to make 3. Push 2 forwards back into the space in front of them. What you're left with is a W in front of an M. 3-2-2-3. Herbert Chapman's Arsenal built a whole system around it from 1925. Not the first side to draw the shape, but the first to organize everything it did around a rule change. Look at what that cost. To get the 3rd defender, 2 attackers had to stop attacking. It is the first time a team traded attacking numbers for defensive security, and once somebody makes that trade and wins with it, everyone has to. Every formation for the next 100 years is a different answer to the same question. How many do you keep back? Verdict, 4 out of 10. Extinct as drawn, alive as an idea. You will never see a WM, you see its grandchildren every week. Once the WM proved a defense could work as a unit rather than a set of individuals, someone was always going to add a 4th. And the flatback 4 changed what a defense was. The first time defenders stood in a line instead of a triangle, covering the width of the pitch between them rather than each guarding a man. That solved defending so completely, it bought a luxury nobody has managed since. You could keep 4 forwards, 2 midfielders, 4 attackers, and Brazil won the World Cup with it in 1958. The floor is already on your screen. 2 central midfielders cannot hold an entire middle third. The shape only works if those 2 are extraordinary, and Brazil's were, and then everyone else looked at that gap and realized the 4th forward was the obvious place to find another midfielder. Verdict, 3 out of 10, and the lowest score here is not an insult. It solved defending so well that it made itself obsolete. Everyone kept the back 4 and immediately spent the forwards on midfield. The bolt. That is what the Swiss called it. The verrou, Karl Rappan's idea, built for teams that expected to be outclassed. If you cannot match an opponent for quality, you can still match him for bodies and keep 1 spare. Italy took the bolt and tightened it. And the Italian for bolt is Catenaccio. Here is the shape. 4 defenders, each one glued to a specific opponent. Not a zone, a man followed wherever he goes, and behind them a 5th defender with no marking job at all. Free, spare, the libero. Man marking neutralizes individual quality because your best player is not facing space. He is facing a specific person whose entire afternoon is him. And if he beats that man, he has not beaten the defense because there is a spare one waiting. You have to break through twice. Then you concede the ball, concede the territory, and win the match in the 20 seconds after you take it back. Helenio Herrera's Inter is the version that won in Europe in the mid-60s and gave the idea its reputation, most of it hostile. But be honest about the deal it strikes. You give up the ball, the territory, and the entertainment, and you buy the right to beat better teams. This is underdog football's founding document, and there is nothing shameful in it. And if Catenaccio is how worse teams beat better ones, there's a whole video on exactly that. Every way underdogs beat giants explained. Card above. Verdict: 5 out of 10, and it is a split verdict. The libero is gone because zonal defending abolished the spare man's job. But the low block and the fast counter are what most of the teams playing this weekend will actually do. If your opponent marks men, make the man impossible to mark. Be a different player every 30 seconds. That is the whole idea. On the team sheet, it is a 4-3-3. On the pitch, it is a set of rules rather than a set of positions. Any player may occupy any space, provided somebody covers the one he left. The fullback goes forward and the winger drops into his place, not chaos, covering. Rotation is only ever legal if someone is already filling the hole, and that is one half of it. The other half is the pitch itself. Push the defensive line up towards halfway, press the ball the instant you lose it, and the playable area collapses, which removes the one thing Catenaccio actually requires: space to counter into. You cannot break at speed into a pitch that isn't there. Rinus Michels's Ajax and the Netherlands side of 1974. Beaten in the final and still the most influential losing team the sport has produced. The demand it makes is brutal. Every player has to be able to do every job, which is why this is the most copied and the least successfully copied formation in history. Verdict: 9 out of 10, the highest score on this list. The shape is everywhere, and the ideology underneath it, positional play, is now simply what the top of the game believes. 2 banks of 4 and 2 strikers, the most played formation in the history of the sport, and the one everybody is most confident they understand. Its virtue is coverage per instruction. 2 flat lines of 4 cover every horizontal lane of a football pitch. 2 strikers occupy 2 centre-backs, and every single job on the pitch can be explained in one sentence. Enormous flaw. That is the entire point of it. It is the shape that is hardest to play badly. But there are 2 4-4-2s and people conflate them constantly. The English version defended men. You picked up your opposite number and the 2 banks were a starting arrangement. Arrigo Sacchi's Milan defended space. Same drawing, completely different sport. The 4 lines moved as one connected block, squeezed short from front to back, and the ball was hunted rather than waited for. One is a holding pattern. The other is a pressing machine. What finished it was arithmetic again. 2 central midfielders against 3 lose the middle every time, and the whole world moved to 3. So watch this. Here is a team that lined up 4-3-3. Here is the same team without the ball. 2 banks of 4. Verdict: 6 out of 10, and it is the most misread rating in this video. Dead as a plan, universal as a defensive shape. Most teams you watch play 4-4-2 for about half of every match and never say so. 2 holders, 3 attackers behind a striker. The formation that won the argument the 4-4-2 lost. The fix is the double pivot. 2 central midfielders became 3 by putting 2 of them side by side in front of the back 4, and crucially without surrendering wide attacking to do it. That was the trade nobody had solved. You get the extra body in the middle and you keep your wingers, and it creates the best address in football. Between the opponent's midfield line and their defensive line, there is a strip of grass that neither unit is responsible for. Midfielders are facing the wrong way, defenders daren't step out. The pocket. The number 10 lives there, and this entire shape is built to feed him. The German and Spanish sides of roughly 2008 to 2014 made it the international default, and it still is. The cost is paid by one man, one striker alone against two centre-backs, which is why the job description of a modern forward changed from finisher to first defender. He is outnumbered whatever he does, so he is asked to start the press instead. Verdict: 7 out of 10. Genuinely current and slightly out of fashion at club level for exactly the reason it is still loved at international level. It is safe, and safe is what you want with 3 weeks of training time. More teams start in this than in anything else on the list. It scores below the pyramid because the pyramid is what the best of them turn into. 3 centre-backs, 2 wing-backs covering an entire touchline each, and a compact middle. The WM's grandchild, a century later. It solves 2 problems at once, and the first one is not the one you'd guess. It is a build-up solution, not a defensive one. Against a front 2-3 centre-backs give you a spare man, one defender the press cannot cover, and he simply carries the ball forward until somebody comes to him. You have beaten the press before it started, with arithmetic, not skill. The second is the touchline. Wing-backs let you defend as a 5 and attack as a 3 without changing a single player. Drop them and it is a back 5. Push them and it is a front 3. One shape, 2 formations depending on who has the ball. Antonio Conte's Chelsea in 2016. A mid-season switch that had an entire league copying it within a year. And the cost lands on 2 people. 2 players covering both touchlines for 90 minutes is the most physically demanding job on a football pitch. And if either one tires, this shape does not degrade gracefully. It breaks. Verdict: 7 out of 10. Current and useful, but a tool rather than an identity. Most teams that use a back 3 don't live there. They move into it. Here's what all of that was for. Take a modern possession side lined up in a 4-3-3. Watch what happens when they actually have the ball. The fullbacks step inside, into midfield. The wingers stay pinned to the touchline. The midfielders push up beyond the ball. Count what's left. 2 at the back, 3 in the middle, 5 across the front. That's the pyramid. That's 1880. Football spent 140 years adding defenders, inventing midfields, and retreating from that shape. And the best teams in the world walk back into it every time they win the ball. The difference isn't the formation, it's that these 5 forwards can pass. So that's every formation football has used and where each one still turns up. But you've probably noticed the problem with all of it. A formation is where 11 players stand before anything happens. Every shape on this list turned into a different shape the moment the ball moved. The 4-4-2 that was really a 4-3-3. The 4-3-3 that was really a pyramid. The number on the team sheet is the starting position. It is not the plan. Which raises a fairly awkward question about the whole exercise, and that is its own video. So, what formation does your team actually line up in, and what do they turn into when they get the ball? I want to see how many people can now answer the second half of that. If you're new here, start with every football position explained. You'll know the players, and this shows you how they're arranged.